What makes hard conversations so hard? What makes those type of conversations challenging? Why are they even worth it? I'm Jen Whitmer, and I help teams and leaders solve conflict and personality clashes. And so I would love to know if you are here live, if you are catching the replay, let me know what makes a hard conversation so hard for you. For me, I just don't like that it feels uncomfortable. And I just want it to be easy and fun and just laugh. And that is not how life works. Even as a leader who is joyful most of the time, I still have to have hard conversations. And actually, what I've discovered is that hard conversations are the way to get to more peace and more joy and more productivity. So let me know as I'm talking why you think hard conversations are hard. But today, I want to give you 3 reasons why those conversations are worth it. What do hard conversations create? They're a little bit like an investment. We're always, if you are a leader of any kind, I am sure you are managing some kind of budget. And we're always like, is this investment going to give us the results that we want? Is this investment in time? Is this investment in money or people? Will this give us the results that we're looking for? And hard conversations feel like that too, because there's so much angst around them and we get all wrapped up in different components of them. And it's like, oh, is this even worth it? I don't know if I even want to do this. But what I want to share with you are 3 reasons why that return on investment is great. What are the big things that hard conversations do for us? And the 3 things are boundaries, clarity, and agency. Boundaries, clarity, and agency. Probably should have put them in ABC order, but I didn't. So the first thing we get in hard conversation is clear boundaries. When we have boundaries, we say, here is what I'm willing to do, what I'm capable of doing, what is possible. Here's my boundary. Here's how I'm going to allow you to treat me. Here's what I'm willing to give. Here are my hours. Those are boundaries. And the thing about hard conversations that makes them hard is we often get caught up in stories about what the other person thinks of us because we're setting a clear boundary. I think this is particularly challenging for women in the workplace. The Nagoski sisters, Doctors Nagoski, they wrote a book called Burnout. And one of the things they talk about, women are enculturated to be human givers, and we have the human giver syndrome. And so to set a boundary can feel like we're going against the grain in a way that is like, really scary. But a boundary keeps everybody healthy. If you've ever bought a new house, one of the things that you do is you get an inspection and often plots the land that says, here is what you're buying. Hey, Christine, here is what the order is. That's a boundary that keeps everybody safe and knows who's what and what is my responsibility and what is not my responsibility. So hard conversations set boundaries, and boundaries keep everybody healthy. So the second thing, well, the thing about boundaries that we have to do, I almost forgot, is that we have to say them out loud. If I have a boundary that says you do not talk to me the first 10 minutes of the day, and I don't say that out loud to anybody, I'm going to continually get frustrated because people are talking to me the first 10 minutes of the day. First of all, why are they doing that? But anyway, you have to you have to say it out loud. A boundary is staked off, it is clear, it is said out loud. And that is where hard conversations matter about boundary setting, is because you're taking the opportunity to say, here it is. Here's the stake with a little pink tape on it that says, here's the end. That's what we need to do with boundary conversations. They have to be said out loud. The second thing that make hard conversations worth it is about clarity. So you have a boundary, but it's a little fuzzy. You need to make it really clear. Again, the stake in the ground, the little pink tape that says this is the end. The boundaries need to be clear. We need to be clear about all the things that we're doing, clear about the process, clear about the expectation, clear about what I'm doing, clear about what I want you to do. This happens in a planning meeting. This happens in a status meeting. This happens when you are dreaming up ideas and want to start executing. There's all kinds of clarity that has to happen. And if you've ever worked with any kind of coach, one of the biggest things coaches bring is clarity. It's clarity. Yes, we have to, Marcella's saying we have to confront our own feelings. 100%. We have to confront our own feelings and we have to be clear about what those are. We can't go into a conversation and be all like fuzzy on what we need. That's why the clarity is so important about hard conversations. And Patrick Lencioni is an organizational consultant, leader. He's written a ton of books. But in his book, The Advantage, he talks about 4 steps to organizational health and why organizational health trumps everything. The first step is about building trust, but the last 3 steps, steps 2, 3, and 4, are all about clarity. And those require conversations. And sometimes we put all of these, to Marcella's point about our emotions, into it. They're not actually as hard as we think they are because we start telling ourselves all these things when really somebody's just looking for clarity. Here is what it's expected of me, and here is what I can give. Those types of conversations are so, they're just the backbone of any good organization. And you as a leader have to initiate those and welcome those. Creating clarity is vital. And that is what hard conversations can do for us. And so we've got boundaries, and then we create clarity around what those are. But the very last thing I think is something we don't talk about a lot, and that's agency. We often want to avoid the hard conversation. So let me know in the comments if you've ever been like, "Oh, it's not worth it. I'm just going to let it run its course. If I ignore it, it's just going to go away. If I just like whatever, fill in the blank here, but not have the conversation, it will be okay." And sometimes in the short term, that might be true, where it feels like it might get better. I would say that 99.72% of the time, it doesn't get better. It may go away, but it doesn't get better. It may go away and create more problems for you later. And your agency is what you've given up when you don't have the hard conversation. You've given away your ability to be a part of the solution, your ability to have your control over your own life. So it's such a thing we don't talk about a lot. I'm going to go back to that human giver syndrome where we think, oh, we just have to do what other people want and expect of us. When actually, I'm 100% responsible for me. And when I am responsible for me, then I am clear, and I've set boundaries. I am able to take my agency and make my life what I'm wanting it to be, which makes my family better, makes my team better. It makes my community better because I'm taking responsibility for the things that are mine. I am a part of the solution rather than like over here behind the curtain, like pay no attention to the wizard behind the curtain. It's like, and I'm not doing anything. I get to participate in my own life. And when you refuse, it's kind of strong. If you give up the opportunity to have a hard conversation, you've given up your agency. You've given up your agency. You don't have the power to do what you're called to do. And this happens to us all the time. So okay, this isn't a work example, it's a home example. But behind that door back there, I have this weird triangle linen closet. So I don't understand why they made a triangle linen closet, but they did. And my children tend to just shove things in there. So we are, and when you open the door, it's like the Mount Vesuvius of laundry lands on you. So we are consistently having a conversation about what are the boundaries? How do we fit things in here? What do I expect of you? I can't just say, put the towels away. It's actually not very clear because in their minds, they put them away. Now, I know this is a kid example, but still think about that in your office or in your leadership team. What you imagine and think, if you don't say that out loud, if it's not clear, if it's not boundaried, if you've given up your agency, of course they can do whatever they think is best, not necessarily what is best for your group, your team, or what you've envisioned. So they can just shove the laundry in there. So I have to set the boundary and say, here's what I expect of you. Then I have to be clear about it. We have ways to fold the towels. I know there's huge towel controversies, but we have ways to fold the towels that they fit in this weird triangle shaped linen closet. And then I have exercised my agency because I could continually be frustrated every damn time I open that door if I'm not boundaried and clear about it. I've given up. But because I've decided, okay, I want this to go smoothly for everyone, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to have a hard conversation. I don't like to be the person that's fussy. I can tell myself all kinds of stories about that. But what I do want is for things to be smooth and peaceful for everyone. And that requires that hard conversation. That's my agency and my role in leading in my family. And we all have that opportunity in our workplaces as well. Even if you're not a leader, here's what I mean by that. You are CEO of your own desk. So you get to boundary yourself, you get to be clear about expectations, and you get to have your agency. And those require, I mean, if you're not the leader and I just said those things, I'm imagining there's a little bit of, oh my gosh, but what does that mean for me? It can be scary. But what I want you to know is that this skill of being able to have hard conversations changes the dynamic in such positive and helpful ways. Now, we have mostly moved on from the strange linen closet issue, and most of the time things are in there well, which makes things run smoothly. People can pull out a towel or a sheet without getting everything else out. Everybody is happier now. Everybody is benefiting from my hard conversation. Now, I know it's a kid example. However, I bet you're thinking of some things right now that matter in your workplace or matter with your relationships with your friends or your partner. You have the opportunity to set boundaries, to be clear about what they are, and to exercise your agency. All right, so I would love to know what you think about this. Is this like, oh my gosh, Jen, this is really hard and scary? Or is this like, no, absolutely, this is what we should be doing? Let me know. And I would love to give you a little bit of homework. So you can tell me in the comments, you can DM me, but I want you to write down somewhere, whatever this conversation, as I'm talking about hard conversations and the things that come from them, what's the conversation that came up in your mind? What's the situation or situations, maybe plural, that you started considering and thinking about that you've been avoiding? That you're like, I don't really want to have that hard conversation. What are those? And then what are you going to do? Because I want to encourage you that if you avoid conflict, you manufacture fake peace. It's not real. It doesn't help you get any better. It doesn't help your team get any better. Be willing to have the hard conversation. All right, friends, let me know what those conversations are. I would love to hear. And then I'd love to hear what your plan is, what you think you want to do about that. And next week, we'll be back with Thursday Thoughts with Jen. And I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.